Welcome to the Buddha Brunch. I am Ned Kelly. Thank you for watching. Buddha Brunch is a show where I sit and have a casual chat, hence the brunch part of it, with creators, with artists, with teachers and gurus. Not necessarily about Buddhism at all. It's about wisdom and the divinity and spirit and beauty and intelligence in all of us, in whatever shape or form that happens to be. But I really like the alliteration of Buddha Brunch.
Buddha Brunch.
So that's how I chose that name. Today I have with me co-founders of We've Got You Covered, fabric producers. We'll talk more about that in a second. Reverend Lonnie Vanderslice and Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting us. Yes.
Tell me about We've Got You Covered. When I first heard the name Weave, and it's W-E-A-V-E, Got You Covered, I thought it was for hair manufacturing. But it's not. What is We've Got You Covered? What do you do?
Well, we are a custom soft furnishings fabrication studio, which basically means that we make anything fabric for the home that you're not going to wear.
Anything fabric, and that's a lot of for the windows.
Windows, bedding, cushions.
It's been in operation for 10 years.
Excellent.
Going on 11, actually. We started in October of 2005.
Yes. And you two are married, right?
We are. Now.
Awesome. Now. Oh, yeah, officially.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother fun subject we might talk about. So how did We've Got You Covered come about?
From my perspective, it came about because I was very ill at the time, and I was not working, and I needed some additional income, and Kelly was my friend, came to me and said, "You know how to sew? Let's do this." Because,
well, I also had found myself in a point in time in life of needing some extra income, and I needed to rejoin the workforce, and thought this would work.
So it was at first working out of your home, sewing for people, little contracts here and there?
Correct. I worked full-time at a fabric store during the day, and people would come in and ask for referrals, and we would sew all night.
I see.
yeah.
And then it grew to a point that we've got to start our own incorporation.
Well, in about 2008, I guess it was, we decided it was a going concern, that we had a niche market with window coverings. We had started to narrow from all the other things that people asked us to do. And so we enrolled in Fast Track, Kaufman Fast Track, both the growth venture and the new venture, and decided to put some legs under it as a business.
It's more than just a business, obviously. You tell us about the ministry or the, trying to make the world a better place aspect of what you do and how you help people.
I think you ought to take that.
Okay, well, We've Got You Covered as a social entrepreneurship, and in the business world, that's what you call it. You don't call it a ministry. And that a social entrepreneurship or a social enterprise exists for the purpose of doing good in the world. It takes the money that they make from providing the products and services that we provide, and then it turns around and it does good in the world. There's probably about 10, maybe 12 business models that use that. A lot of them are a buy one, give one away kind of model. Ours is not that. We employ people from the marginalized communities that are starting their lives over again, coming out of prison, that are in recovery. A lot of them single moms with young children.
Fantastic. So you're helping them by hiring them and training them?
Yes, and mentoring is a huge part of what we do. And so one thing that happened when we were finally able, we had always hired women that were faced with these challenges. And what we found last year was that many of the women we hire were from the 27th and Troost area, and they were on the bus every day, one way. So we picked up and moved the business down to the inner core so that they would not have to worry about transportation.
Oh, excellent.
Housing and transportation are your two largest challenges trying to get a job and having stability. And childcare.
We work with a jobs program that the transitional housing group around the corner has here. And they, the women that come into that transitional housing program after they've gotten their GED and they've gotten their children back and they work through drug court and they work through family court and all those kind of things, then they're eligible for the jobs program. And then so we interview the next two on the list, or three. There's no pre-selection according to skills, and so we train whoever comes in the door in an entry-level skill set. And then we move them around until we find what they're good at, what they like to do, and what fits our need.
What is the hardest thing for them in starting working with You.
Well, that's a really good question because many of the people are multi-generational addiction and poverty. They have not been in an environment, a work environment, other than a fast food environment. The cultural difference in how you show up at work, the language that you use, the way you interact interpersonally, things of that nature is entirely different in one population to the next. And it's not that it's better or worse, but it leads into the social capital aspect of what we do, and that's where the mentoring comes in.
I'm going to guess there's a lot of freedom, self-responsibility in this environment that individuals might not have been used to yet. You're showing up on time, and not having somebody watching every little detail that they're doing. I'm gonna put words in your mouth, but trust and hold them accountable for what they do, but they're responsible for doing it.
That is absolutely correct. And it's interesting because we're working with the women as a whole person. They have childcare issues. We have a very flexible schedule so that they can set when they're here and not here. So their responsibility is to make sure they get their work done and be mature enough to be able to come in and work their section, their area, get it done. And many of these women, as Lonnie mentioned, have 20 years at Sonic. And so they were used to that very rigid and learning how to manage. And we have a very flat organization skill, so they can be an entrepreneur within their own area of the company. And that's really fascinating to just watch them bloom. When Lonnie and I started the business, we were both at a really low point in our life. We had a sewing machine. We each had a sewing machine and we knew how to use it. And we started doing the sewing. We're going to be $1 million company this year. And so by being able to train other women how to sew and hand them a sewing machine, they have the ability, the hope of being able to launch a career to be self-sufficient for the rest of their life and take care of their family.
Excellent.
So,
and you're expanding the way you'll be serving and helping people. You want to tell us about what else you have coming up?
Sure, absolutely. We have been so successful here with this model, the mentoring model, that we have people that want to come to work for us. We can't hire everybody, but we've identified two things. One is that there are not enough skilled seamstresses in the Kansas City area for the demand. And the second is there's a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, that are interested in learning the skill set. So we're going to open a community training facility next door, and it's called the Sewing Labs, because at some point we expect to have more than one location for that. It's really a big vision, because while it's going to start with a few seats as a training center, we also envision it as being a community hub. Women's culture has been lost as the generations have dispersed out from under one roof, and as women have gone back to work. We don't learn how to sew at our grandmother's knee any longer, and that kind of thing. And so, having a gathering place where we can learn from one another, and that it doesn't matter what zip code you live in, and we can share. That's what the social capital is all about. It's about the fact that when I share my network of people and knowledge with somebody else, pretty soon they're saying, well, how can I do that? Well, I want to do that too. And then everybody rises.
We've Got You Covered's been an entity for 10 years, but you two, how long have you been together?
just about the 11, yeah.
I think.
So what is that like? You live together, you kind of do ministry together, you own and operate a business together. Are you sick of each other?
Only momentarily from time to time.
One of us wakes up at 5:30 and the other one pops up, and then the whiteboard comes out, and it just seems like we both hit the floor running every morning, which is
much
good. And
well, that was one of the challenges early on, is because two entirely different skill sets. Kelly is the creative mind and pulls things out of thin air, and I am the linear type of person that I want all the dots lined up and you connect them in this manner. And so when she would problem solve in a creative way and I would problem solve in a structured way, we didn't see eye to eye for a long time.
But you need that.
Absolutely. I believe it's why we're successful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This show, Buddha Brunch, is a lot about creativity, spirituality. Do you find that this hasn't become just a business and work, that there's still an aspect of artistic expression for each of you? I'll let each of you answer.
well, I absolutely think so. And when you first started the question, I was thinking about the fact, we talked early on, we could have a business out of our basement and make a living. But just the creative part of having the business, to have it exist to provide jobs for women, and the creativeness that comes with making the business model work is what I'm all about.
Oh, cool.
And I think that's what really made Lonnie's corporate brain initially kind of go, "What?
Yeah.
That's not the way that works."
Oh, fascinating. So not even the fabric construction part of it, but the running and creating and growing the business is an art form in
Oh,
itself.
for me, it absolutely is. I've been out of the box since the beginning, and I do things that everyone here says, "Really?" And it seems to work well. So.
And mine is somewhat similar, because while the fabrics are beautiful and the products are beautiful and the ability to make them in an expert manner, because we make high-end and expert custom, and everything's different, everything's custom, it's no cookie cutter kind of stuff. What I really appreciate is each individual person, because they interpret. We'll have a nonviolent communications luncheon, for example, and we'll talk about that, and you see the light bulbs go on, when they go, "Oh, I don't want to say it that way. Oh, that's why I felt bad when I heard that," and respond to that. When I taught somebody heart math, they blossom, and so seeing how they can bring what normally would only happen in their view inside of a church into their daily lives and into their workplace in a seemingly secular manner, but yet it is spiritually unfolding for them. That's what I like.
So it almost the material itself isn't as important as what you're building with the community and the people
And the culture that yes.
Oh,
It's
fantastic.
the vehicle to bring everybody together to provide this type of mentoring and growth.
Right. And what Kelly often says is all we do is provide the place for the magic.
Excellent. Anything else that we didn't get to touch on today?
The only thing that I would say is that ministry happens anywhere. And it can happen anywhere, and it can happen in business, and it doesn't have to be labeled as such.
Beautiful. I love that. So how can people stay in touch with you? We've got you covered.com,
Yes.
and that's weave, as in the WEAVE,
Yes.
gotcha, GOTCHA,
Yes.
covered.com. Facebook as well.
Yes.
Anything else you want to put out there or promote?
Emails are easy. Lonnie at we'vegotYouCovered.com. Kelly at we'vegotYouCovered.com. So.
I think our only other thing we're promoting is we'll take any donations of sewing machines and sewing related items.
Excellent. Anyone in the Kansas City area, or if you happen to be weaving your way through the Kansas City area, bring a sewing machine with you.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so very, very much. So very, very much.
Oh,
3 for 3.
If you've enjoyed this program, please consider donating to support me and the works that I do on patreon.com/Ned Kelly. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ned Kelly Video, that you're watching. And on Facebook, like Buddha Brunch. Well, Lonnie, Kelly, thanks again so very much. We've got you covered. Check them out.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you very
wonderful.
much.
Thank you.